Hello, hello. Welcome to the Learning Pro Live. My name's Cath Ellis, and we're back with a week full of goodies, lots of new videos, tips and tricks for you learning designers who want to just refine your craft, learn new skills and learn new tools. And today I've got an absolute blinder of an episode. We have got a very special guest. His name is Rhys Kerr, and he's from Chameleon Creator. I'm going to introduce him in a minute, but basically Chameleon Creator is a authoring tool. So if you're ready, let's introduce him. Hi, Rhys. How you going?
Good, Cath. How are you? Thank you so much for having me along.
No, not at all. I've just been literally introducing you. Chameleon Creator. Now, I should ask, are you in Melbourne or are you in New Zealand?
Yeah, you picked up the Kiwi accent. No, but in Melbourne. Soon relocating back to New Zealand, but yeah, in Melbourne.
Yeah, fantastic. So why don't you introduce yourself for anyone who doesn't know? Chameleon Creator is, a lot of us in Australia know it, but worldwide it's kind of a bit unique. So do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Chameleon Creator, and if you want the kind of overarching who owns Chameleon Creator, etc.?
Yeah, sure. So, Rhys, obviously you've introduced me as my name. With Inspire Group, which is a learning design consultancy born out of Wellington, New Zealand, and obviously has offices here in Australia and also in Malaysia. But the other hat I wear is customer lead at Chameleon Creator. So I've been wearing that for probably a little over 18 months now. Chameleon was, I guess we'll talk more about it soon, but it was a tool that's been born out of Inspire Group. So it's been spun out of, a services business, but it's very much its own beast and stands on its own 2 feet, and it's very much its own product now. So it's been an exciting journey, and we just love opportunities like this to talk about it to people like you, Cath.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have to say that we were lucky to have Todd, or I was lucky to chat with Todd on the show. And obviously, Todd's another part of the Chameleon Creator team, guys, And at that point, I said, I would really love to chat further about this. So I just thought this would be the best opportunity. And we've got a couple of people tuning in. So, guys, if you're tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from. Are you here in Australia? Do you know of Chameleon Creator? And yeah, while you've got Rhys, let's just pound him with questions. And, and hopefully he's got a few bits and bobs to show us and walk us through. So Chameleon Creator, authoring tool, fully responsive.
Do you want me to, I guess I can share a little bit about the journey, Cath, if you want, how we've got to this point. In a nutshell, it is an authoring tool built for learning designers like yourself. We started on this journey 2 to 3 years ago, and at the very first those very first times we never created, sought to create a product. It was never the vision and never the plan. Initially, we created a tool to I guess solve a number of challenges and a number of problems our clients at that stage were having. So we built this thing as a framework for our own developers and internal learning designers. And it was working great. The need was fully responsive HTML5 learning that looked beautiful on all devices. We had some challenges around load times as well, dealing with clients like Kmart in the middle of nowhere with distribution centre in the middle of Australia with really poor bandwidth. So that was, we had a number of challenges we were trying to solve, and as I say, it was never the initial plan to create a product, but it was working so well. It was meaning we weren't having to recreate the wheel every single time, building these beautiful modules from the ground up that, as you probably know, very costly and very time, intensive exercises. So yeah, it was working so well that we started to get some interest from existing clients and other users, and even internal users who, certainly aren't learning developers by trade. People like our QA people internally, to be able to pick this tool up and use it and make those changes themselves without, leaning on people like yourself who are probably a bit more experienced and being able to do those things themselves. So yeah, it was. I guess, as you say, we're getting more and more interest in the tool, and I think that is because it's a little bit unique. It's a little bit different. We've certainly gone outside of the learning world. So I guess we've looked outwards and forwards rather than inwards and backwards, and leant on the likes of Airbnb, Figma, Envision, these design-led tools that look so beautiful, and that's what we've tried to recreate. And it's it's a vision that's way off in the future, and it's never going to be perfect. I think probably talking to Todd, for example, he's a bit of a perfectionist, and he's got grand visions for the tool, and it's never quite right. So we're always looking to improve it and make it that little bit better as well.
Well, I think it looks fantastic. It looked straight off the bat when I logged into it, and actually straight off the bat when I viewed one of your courses, I thought, "Ooh, is this built on the ADAPT framework?" And then Todd clarified, "No, it wasn't. It's not built on that framework." So that's an interesting point. It's uniquely built by you guys. I love that it's been so popular with your clients at Inspire that they've wanted to, obviously they've been going, could we get a tenant for it? And it's gone that way. So why don't you share your screen? And we can showcase it. I mean, I love that it's all cloud-based. I kind of, I'm a massive fan of a hosted ADAPT, and I love things that are hosted in the cloud. I think sometimes it's overwhelming when you've got to download things onto using Node and all these different kind of tools.
I know what you mean.
So you show me, you tell me when you're ready, and I'll share your screen.
Yeah, I've brought something up here, but yeah, you touched on an interesting thing about ADAPT. Cath, so one of our visions, for the tool was have something that looked beautiful on all devices. So it looked as great on a mobile as it did on a desktop, as it did on a Retina display, and everything in between. So we actually, we went out there, and so the tool has been built on the React framework out of Facebook. They're obviously pretty smart people, and their content responds so beautifully on all devices. So that's who we've leant on. In terms of the smarts and that technology, and it's made it super lightweight as well. So it's around 1/6 of the file size of a typical e-learning module as well. So I've just brought up a bit of a demo course here. Cath, can you see that on your screen there?
Looks great.
Yeah, so this is for one of Inspire's clients, Squiz. So they're a dev house with offices, globally. But we wanted to create a bit of a course on. It was a cultural piece and a bit of an induction piece as well, and just around some interesting nuances they have, within their team as well. So the challenge here was to create something that, again, worked on all devices, looked great. So you'll see these visual lotties, that are beautiful, and they look great on billboard size technologies as well. The interesting thing about this course is I'll work through a bit of a play on Judge Judy here, if you ever watch that. But we've got a bit of a we've tried to thread in Nicolas Cage as much as possible. So you'll see here there's Cameron Poe out of Corn Air, and that's threaded throughout. But I think what you'll see is, if you can see my screen pinching there, what we wanted to obviously create is something that looks, beautiful out of the box on all devices. So you can see that sort of reacting and morphing to your screen size there. I'll just shoot through here. What I might do is I'll show another course as well, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shoot back. Because what we wanted to do, Cath, as well, is create something that is create something. So there's sort of our three main design pillars. One is that it looks beautiful. So we've already sort of, I guess, touched on some of that stuff. Because as you know, that vision learning sense is so key for us. So it has to look beautiful, not just how it comes up on your screen and your monitors and your devices and so on and so forth, but we also wanted to be able to emulate the brands that we're working with as well. So one of the challenges we found with some of the other tools out there was that it was really difficult to make a module look like Bupa or look like Coke or look like ANZ. Some of the other tools out there, without shooting too many holes at other platforms, you could put a logo in and maybe a couple of accent colors, but not too much else. So what we wanted to do is to have full customization for the brand. So hopefully with what you've seen, you've sort of had a quick look at that Squiz module. This is another module that was built for one of our other clients, Laminex, and you'll see straight away that the look and feel is quite different. Everything is customizable, from button colors to logos to, we've been able to add some diversity in here, and with a big bold, that green sort of background color as well. We wanted to give our, designers full customization, so that not just for the learners out there who, of course, we don't want them to get fatigued by looking at these, the same sort of courses day in, day out, but also learning designers, like yourself. Like, we wanted to make it fun and exciting and interesting to be able to create courses as well. Because I know that talking to some designers, and this is not everyone, but talking to some designers out there, there is, there's sometimes you do get a little bit of fatigue in developing the same tool, and things start to look and feel the same very, very, quickly.
Absolutely. I mean, I love that you can. I'd actually love for you to show, if
the
it's
back
possible,
end as well.
The back end, because
absolutely,
you'll see how easy it is to set up that theme of colors and to be able to just apply them as and how you need them. I know we've got Troy tuning in from Sydney, and he said hello before, and he said it gave me adapt feels, but like Cath said, I love that it's cloud-based, and I think Troy is going to go with it as well. So I'd love your feedback as well, Troy, if you're still tuning in, kind of how you felt with it. There was a great course that I saw, so I'm just going to log in, because I'll tell you a story, Rhys.
Tell me.
There were 2 modules that were done. By you guys, and I'm going to bring it up. And I was like, I love working things out. I always call it like re-engineering how people have done things. And there was one that was called, let me just preview it. Resilience, we've got you COVID. Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
And I was like, oh, that looks lovely. I said, I'm gonna see how quickly I can recreate that using actually all of your assets. So I, right click, save as, blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
And honestly, in no time, I was able to whip that up. And I just thought, how fantastic. This is, obviously, the hard work goes into the content as well as the assets, but it just looked fantastic. Valentina just said hello from Brisbane. Sorry, I can't see pricing. No, we haven't covered pricing or anything, Valentina. We're just literally going through the tool right now with Rhys, but we'll talk about pricing in a little while.
Anyway,
I just wanted to tell you that, Rhys.
No, well, you know, and you've hit the nail on the head, because our other two sort of principles in creating this thing, Cath, and I'll show you through the back end of this beast, and I can bring up the COVID module that we've got you covered module in a moment too. But you know, we wanted it really, really intuitive, so people, you know, whether you're a seasoned learning designer or you're someone who's you know, relatively new to the space, who's not as confident, you know, developing in a tool, we want it to be super easy to pick up and intuitive in the back end. So getting a similar type experience to something like Squarespace, for example.
Yeah.
Sort of what you see is what you get interface, and then and we wanted it to be really quick as well to build in, so rapid. And so, you know, we've stress tested it you know, a number of times, and had learning designers use it as well. And what we wanted them to do is be able to create things really, really quickly, put it out there, and build modules, you know, in a fraction of the time, so that you know, it makes their job in life easier, but also, you know, helps them deliver on projects a bit quicker for their clients and customers too. So I guess what I've done here is, as Cath sort of mentioned, is I've jumped in the back of the platform here. So
Yep.
Is it annoying me looking sideways, Cath? Do you mind me looking sideways on my screen? Cool. Fine. I don't want to. Yeah, I'm totally dialed into you, but I'm just looking sideways.
Screen if you want, if it's distracting you, I can make you go full screen. Hang on a second. There we go.
Yeah, cool. Oh, nice. Yep. So that means I won't be distracting the audience too much either. But yeah. So essentially, we're in the back end of the editing platform here. So as Troy touched on earlier, it's all in the cloud. And so what we wanted to do with the interfaces on the right-hand side here is keep our designers, our authors, our creators always present in what they're creating in their design. So you've got the live canvas here on the right-hand side. So if I hit the preview link down here, that'll scaffold out you know, a bit of a live, living, breathing module, if you will. And what you'll see is, when we look at that in a moment, so we've got this sort of splash screen here, and that module's this home screen here. So you'll see that is an exact replica of, you know, what we're creating in the editor as well. So it's a like for like. Makes it a heap easier to design, a lot more efficient. For people like myself who, you know, I'll be the first to admit, and Todd, you know, if he was on the call with me, he'd say the same thing. But I'm not a visual designer by trade. It's not my genius zone. But so it makes it a lot easier for me to, as a non-visual designer, to you know, to picture what I'm creating, rather than always getting taken out of that environment and then having to shoot back and forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's down here. So Cath sort of, you know, you briefly mentioned a moment ago about theming, you know, modules up. So what we wanted to do with the editor as well was, as I said earlier, we wanted, you know, our modules to look and feel like the brand and emulate the brand you're working with. So it was super, super important, again, to make that an easy process. So what we've allowed our designers and authors and creators to do here is to essentially theme up the module from a global level. So if you can see my screen here, we've got, you know, background color, top nav bar color, so this is white bar up here, the burger menu, global text color, etc. So you've got full capability to change any of those colors, and completely based on your brand palette and color and guidelines as well. So you can simply put your hex color in here, and it will update. So for example, it's this, I guess, this mustard color here. We could easily hit the peach, and that will override that, and now the you know, that will be applied throughout the module appropriately. The other thing is with the tool, although you can create that sort of I guess global theme that gets applied right throughout the module, you can also go through at an individual content level or interaction level and override that as well. So I guess essentially what that's doing, like you saw on the module I showed a moment ago for Laminex, is you can have this sort of global mustard throughout, and we could override that, and we could, add some peaches or some whites, or whatever you're wanting to thread into your palette and look and feel there too. Again, it just adds a little bit more diversity throughout your module and makes it a little bit more interesting, for your learners or your audience that you're looking to showcase your learning off to. And then, of course, just some little niceties down here. We allow our designers to, simply turn off progress bars, topic menu. So you'll see the hamburger menu's gone from there. A few other touches. One thing that's particularly hot on the radar at the moment, Cath, I'm not sure if you've seen this as well, but accessibility, is that a big thing for you at the moment with your clients? Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we knew that, well, we weren't breaking any ground or anything by putting that on the platform, but we knew from the outset that was something we wanted to keep forefront of mind when we're developing the tool out. So we've ensured that authors and designers who do use the tool, if accessibility is an important thing for their audience, and it is becoming more and more important, and I totally agree it should be as well, but we've made it relatively simple throughout the platform to be able to cater for that audience as well. So you can make particular design decisions to meet their needs too, which is as I say, really important. And because we had that at the forefront of our mind from when we designed the tool from the outset, it's made it easier to thread those aspects into the platform as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
So an example of that is high contrast, for example, and there's a bunch of other things throughout the platform that talk to that too. Is what I'm making saying sense, Cath? I'm sort of
absolutely. No, you're
I'm
doing
just going
great.
off on a bit of a tangent here. Cool.
No, great.
And so with the editor, by the way, I hope I'm not. I hope the content matter is all right. It's Melbourne Cup Day tomorrow here in Melbourne, so I'm sure there'll be a few pina coladas. Yeah, so yes, this module obviously is on how to make a pina colada. So, but with the design elements on your screen here on the canvas, so this little, as you see, this sort of they sort of get toggled on and off as you sort of you scroll over them. But we click on this text, for example, you'll see here on the left-hand side that the appropriate properties for that element pop up. So I guess it's commonly known as contextual navigation, and again, it lends itself to that intuitiveness and making it just that little bit easier and faster for a designer to work in the platform, and make any changes that they're required to. So we can simply jump in here, and I could say, "Hey, Cath, awesome chat." Because it's in the cloud, everything's live, it's saving in real time. We can jump into that preview that I brought up just a moment ago. We will refresh that. It'll build out our module, it'll scaffold out. This is one of Todd's nice little animations.
I saw that, I loved it.
But just a nice little touch there. I think that's actually just been brought in recently. And you'll see there that, as I said, that that updates the module live and chucks the text in there. So that link there, so I could send that link to you right now, Cath, on your mobile. Any of the audience could bring this link up, and they could bring it up on their phone or what have you, and they'll see what we're designing live. So it's a nice way to collaborate, and work with stakeholders on your projects too. So I'll just delete that. And likewise, for things, for images as well, the appropriate properties pop up on the left. I'm not sure if you saw, Cath, did you dive into the image library at all, or did you have a look at that when you were having a play in the platform?
I didn't, but I know that you do have images in there if you want to show them. Yeah,
so on the very early days, or a little while ago, we came across this really great library, an open source library on the web, and essentially what it was a bank of really great looking illustrations and iconography and pretty, I'll loosely say generic, but and what you could do with those is you could take those images and any of these images and update the primary color of that image so that it would be in line with your brand color as well. So
yeah.
So what we've got here is an evolving sort of bank of iconography and illustrations and backgrounds and what have you. So because we're in the middle of COVID, we'll take this this avatar, this female with the mask here. We simply hit on the primary color. We can choose, our color from our brand guide. Chuck the peach in, update that, and all of a sudden we've got an image that is on brand and and matching what we our brand guidelines. So really great again for learning designers who don't necessarily have access to a visual designer, and they're either looking to put placeholder images in, or they're in fact just wanting to use these images. You can easily get some illustrations and iconography that are all of a sudden on brand from a color standpoint, knowing that this is not everyone's illustration style, of course. So you can simply chuck those in as well. Did you want me to keep going on this?
Yeah,
in terms of the direction I'm taking, you've got any questions so far, or?
Well, we've had a couple.
Yep.
So Troy just mentioned about, I love the use of Lottie animations in courses.
Awesome, thanks, Troy.
And Troy said, I'm really keen to see how I could use this in the workplace. Love Rise, but I love the customization look and feel of Chameleon. Yeah. And Valentino said, I'm echoing that. She agrees.
Awesome.
Amanda joined in, and Eric said, finally caught one of these sessions live. Best content on YouTube. Like, oh, stop it, Eric.
And you've got a fan here. Yeah.
So yeah, we've got. I was actually going to ask that. So that's a good one, Troy. So I'd love for you to be able to talk a little bit about customization, so we can put in all different kinds of images, regular images, videos, SVGs, Lotties. What about customizing things further, like fonts?
Yep.
And if you wanted to put any kind of custom code in, I know that there is an iframe there. Just wondering how people are enhancing this tool, or how you guys are coming at how you guys are dealing with requests that are kind of a little bit unique.
Yeah, no, great questions. So first of all, custom fonts. Yes, we absolutely have the ability to add those in. So with our course theme down here, we do have quite an extensive library of mostly web fonts, and the reason for that is so that because we're creating something in a browser and we need to be, I guess, operating for the lowest common denominator, it ensures that if someone doesn't have that font loaded on their local machine or device, that the course will still show correctly in terms of the font. Having said that, if you do have a font that's not a web font, not a Google font, yes, you can absolutely add that in, no worries at all. And generally, when you are creating courses for an organisation, you'll chuck the font in. You'll ensure that the organisation would, of course, have that font as well, and it will show correctly too. So there's no issues and no worries there. In terms of customisation, so I guess the question about jumping into the code, Cath, is that what you were asking there?
Yeah. So sometimes, for example, someone like Troy will, he'll do enhancements with modules. Troy, do you want to jump in and give us an example of any additional customizations that you might think about doing in here? But yeah, it's just trying to work out how far can we push this tool. What would be great for you to show is some of the different page layouts as well that are available, Rhys.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah. First for the coding and the customization, and how far you can push the tool and that sort of stuff. So, so Devlin, who you actually introduced me into, Cath, over there in Florida, Devlin Peck, who I guess most of the audience will probably know. We've been talking to him about the same sort of query, because he's obviously, an example of someone who likes to push these tools, to their absolute limit and do some customization where he can. At the moment, out of the box, it's not available to be able to, jump into the code and do customization. However, having said that, we are looking at adding that into the platform at a later stage, because we know that, particularly for this audience and the types of people that, you're getting onto these presentations, Cath, are certainly the types of people that, we want to be able to be, trialing the tool, using it and pushing it out to its limit. And that's one of the things we're getting asked of a lot. So it's definitely in the roadmap. We're even looking at opening up the API for people who want to create potentially their own interactions and things. Yeah, certainly on our radar and something we're planning for. And if I had our tech lead, Sam, on the call right now, he'd be, that's something that really excites him as well. So, so it's certainly something we're going to be doing. I guess the other thing to say there quickly, and then I'll jump into those layouts, Cath, is that, this is a community-driven tool. So, we've got a fairly strong vision about where we want to take the tool, and and also, I guess our three pillars of, where we want to take it in terms of that vision. But we're certainly not sitting here, in our bunker with a bit of a finger in the air, knowing exactly what the future looks like and what our users want. So, our community has a really, really strong voice in the tool and the direction and how that's being shaped going forward. So, we're often taking feedback, often taking ideas, and reshaping and reforming our roadmap going forward, to make sure we meet those needs and demands, which is exciting, because it means that people like yourself or people like Troy, if they've got a particular type of interaction or they're wanting to change, have a slight shift on a layout, we certainly chuck that into the incubator and meet that. And I can see many things that I've already touched on today within the editor that weren't there, 2, 3, 4 months ago, that have been added in, as a result of people asking us. So really exciting to be so close to our community as well in terms of what that looks like. So in terms of the layouts.
Troy actually given an example. He just said, use JavaScript in Storyline to create connections to Google Sheets, to build in-module leaderboards or printable resources, emails, etc. And he said, but I would assume some of the code, CSS, could be adjusted in the export HTML file.
Correct.
So that was one suggestion. Someone else mentioned branching, and we also had Caitlin say, looking at this for a mobile first enablement I'm working on. Well, I mean, it's perfect for that, Caitlin. So anyway, I'll put you back onto the.
Sorry, I jumped on top of you there, Cath. The JavaScript. So we can. I think we can certainly help out there, Troy. Again, I don't want to jump back onto Devlin again too much, but that's something again he actually asked that very early on to us, probably 4 or 5 months ago. And Sam, our tech lead, had a really good conversation with him about that, and I'm pretty sure we can meet those needs. So if that's something you're looking for to do right now, I think that's a definite yes. And the other question about branching as well, I can't quite recall who asked that, but thank you for that question. So I can show you that too. So I might do that right now, Cath, the branching, and then I can jump into the layouts before I forget. Is that cool? Yeah?
Yeah.
So for example, we've got this layout here, how to make a pina colada. At the moment, we've got this button down here. So if I click on that button, you'll see down on the bottom left, or sort of halfway at the screen here on the left, the navigation, it says it's going to go to next. Okay, so effectively, it is what it says on the tin. It is going to go to the next interaction. So what we want to do is, if we want to add some branching in, which is a really, really common request at the moment, and we've got some designers doing some really exciting stuff in this place with that, choose your own adventure type learning. We simply hit on the styling icon here. So what this does, it opens up all the properties for the particular interaction that we're looking at. So this is a simple, single media column interaction. So if we hit the styling, the appropriate properties will pop up here on the left-hand side for this particular interaction. Now this is a relatively simple interaction. It's pretty static content. It's text and image, so there's not too many different things we can change there. But down here at the bottom here, you'll see navigation buttons. So if I just simply hit this plus button here, you'll see that all of a sudden we've got another button. And so, as I said, the show me went to the next interaction. If we want to, add a bit of branching here or a bit of choose your own adventure type learning, we can simply hit the continue button there, jump down into navigation, and for example, we might choose to point that button to the pina colada video. So what I'll do is I'll just refresh that. While that's refreshing as well, Cath, the other thing you can do is we've got advanced navigation, so you can actually point at individual interactions under each topic too. So there are ways to get pretty fruity with some of this stuff if you're that way inclined. I do know that QBE Insurance up in Sydney did a module recently, and there are around 15 to 16 different destinations in the module, so you can get pretty elaborate with some of that branching. And so you'll see here, we've got how to make a pina colada, the show me, that goes to the next interaction. But if we go back and hit continue, it'll take us directly down to this really awesome video that everyone should watch after this call on the pina colada song. Have you seen this, Cath? It's absolutely brilliant. It'll get you giggling.
No.
It's a real treat. It's a real. Sometimes I accidentally play it when I'm talking to people like this on a call, and it's super embarrassing. But anyway, and look, we can also take the button there, and we could say, we could relabel that button pina colada video, and you'll see that that's updated there. The other, I'll just show you another sort of use case of that as well, because there's other ways we can do it. So hopefully you can see, yep, cool. So this is another module we've whipped up for an organisation over in New Zealand, Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment. But if we hit continue here, we've got these, so these are typically used as click to reveal type content. So you could click on this and it would pop up with some feedback, for example. I've changed this interaction slightly so that when we click on it, it actually directs us to a particular place in the module. So we've got static content, click to reveal content, and that takes us down to the next. And if we go home or the portal, we can also click on quiz content, and that'll take us to the quiz content in the module too. So just a different type application for that as well within the module. And this is sort of giving you a quick example of some different interactions and stuff we've got in the tool. A bit of a sortation there as well. A bit of an Uber 5-star rating. If you wanted to get some qualitative feedback from your learners, we've built that into the platform as well, if that's something you're wanting and needing from your audience. So I just tend to go off on tangents here, Cath, but you asked a question about layouts and different interactions and things earlier.
Yeah. Yep.
So So I'll show you an example of where they sit. So on the left here, you've got your navigation. So we've obviously got all of our topics: welcome, introduction, pina colada song, ingredients. You can also call them your chapters if you want to. I guess it's just a nice way of chunking up your content. And you'll see that each of those relate to your appropriate headings over here in your burger menu. But if I want to add a new interaction, I simply hit the plus button, and up pop my library of interactions. This is something that's always evolving. So if we chatted a month ago, there would have been a couple that wouldn't have been there. The click and reveal, for example. Multiple choices had a few changes. And under each of these interactions sit, some other, I guess, types of these layouts and things. Yeah. So that's the library, and as I say, it's always evolving. There's examples on there that have come directly from feedback from our users as well. Hotspot was one of them, for example, that was required. Shall I build one out, Cath? Just while we're on the... Yeah, cool. We'll do a flip card. I quite like the flip card because it really shows off the platform and the editor and all its wares. So it's sort of walking me through a bit of a wizard here. Gives me the opportunity, as I said earlier, we can go in here and override some of those global theme settings that we applied earlier. But just for today, and just because we're a little bit short on time, I'll shoot through that, and you'll see that has quickly built me out a flip card interaction with three flip cards. The cool thing about this is a personal opinion, of course, but I think the cool thing about the editor is it operates like it does, when you're viewing the output as well. So these flip cards, they all work. They're living and breathing. You can actually see how they're going to work in the wild. The other neat thing is that if we pinch that screen down, the editor itself is responsive as well. So we can actually see, while we're in the editor and that environment where we're creating our content, you can start to see that how that's working again. And as a designer, it just makes it a little bit easier and a little bit faster to create your content. So we've got 3 flip cards here. We might just choose to reduce that down and chuck 2 in, for example. As you'll see on the screen, Cath, we're playing with a bit of real estate. So if we want to bump the size up on those, we can just simply go across here on the left-hand side. We'll go to 300 pixels, nice and square.
Yeah, I like
that. Give me some content, Cath. What shall I type in here? Anything off the top of your head?
Let's just say this is a flip interaction.
Flip interaction, cool. So we've got the content in there. We'll bump the size up, just because we've got a bit of space. Now I want to show off and this is probably a good little point to stop. So at the moment, it's selected as an image. We can also put in text. We can chuck audio in. We can put those SVG or Lottie files in as well. So complete flexibility there. But if we say insert image, we're going to bring up the library. We'll pull up this image here. We'll change the color so it's a little bit more on theme. Insert that into there. And hopefully while I'm clicking this, I know you've used it before, Cath, and you've had a really good play on the platform, but hopefully for people that are on the call at the moment, they can just start to see how easy and quick it is to start, to put content into the platform. What I might do as well is I'll just put some quick text on the back here. So I'm just going to change the background color to this white, for example. We'll chuck some text in there. We'll go flip 1. And you'll see that the text is white. So we're going to go back here and change that to black. Just so there's obviously that contrast there. We'll bump the size up in a moment. flip to. And on the background, so it's obviously that, you know, it's big on the mustard at the moment. But we might go to the background, and just to show you that I'm not making up stories, we can add some, you know, design customization in there as well, and change it to white. So we've overridden that, you know, the course theme that's obviously set to that sort of mustard colour. I just saw your comment there, Troy, about the animations on the flip cards. Thank you. Yeah, I can't claim any of this, by the way. I'm just merely introducing the tool. But the clever boffins back at HQ, they spend a lot of time at, you know, making sure this just looks, you know, bang on in terms of the look and feel there. And obviously that nice little shadow that you can sort of see around it too just helps to lift, you know, the design. So yeah, so hopefully that, you know, as I say, that's just a super quick example, Cath, but just
yeah, it's great.
Just showing you how the platform you know, builds that out really, really quickly. While that's happening, have you got any other questions, Cath, of me, or something you want to see, or
why don't we talk a little bit about pricing? And we haven't had a discussion about this yet, so if this is something that you can't answer, then that's fine as well. Or if you do, for example, any kind of trial for any learning designers or freelancers who may want to come in and give it a bit of a trial run, how can learning designers do that?
Yeah, for sure. So the answer is, by all means, we offer trials, definitely, and that can come in a few different ways. So you know, for some learning designers, we know that they just want to learn in their own time and have a play in their own time, and you know, and jump in and see how it works and build something out, and that's cool. For others, and we often do this for organisations as well. You know, if you're working in teams and things, we offer a pilot, and that's more of a handheld sort of type scenario where we say, yep, you know, let's rock and roll on a pilot for 30 days. Let's together set a goal, and let's hold your hand throughout, so that at the end of it you have a, you know, fully breathing working module that you can, you know, share out to either your audience or your business. And so that's another direction you could take as well. Pricing, would it be easier, rather than me trying to talk through the matrix, Cath, I don't know if you've got a link you can share, or I'm more than happy to send that out afterwards, but it's, I guess in essence, it's sort of based on, I just want to be careful. I don't want to get into a bit of a sales pitch here, but you know what I mean? It's based on users. Yeah.
So I suppose there's going to be a mix of people who are going to be watching this video. It could be someone like me who's a freelancer, Troy, for example. You know, he works, but he does some freelance work as well. So you know, there's going to be different audiences, and then there's going to be people, even for example, like Troy works for a huge organization. He might want to get a quote for that as well. So I suppose it's if you want, we can leave it as, I can leave your details in the description, and you can and request people to reach out to you, because I know this is a difficult question. But I'm sure people wanted to know, you know.
Yeah, and look, we're a bit of an open book on pricing, so I can more than happy to share it out, and no worries at all. When it comes to more of your larger organisations, obviously, and this is pretty common, I think, in the industry, but we can look at more of an enterprise model. So we've got one client here in Australia where they've got access for 60,000 employees if they want it. So and then equally at the other end of the scale, we've got a friend in the background. We've got our I guess more of our freelancer model, which from my understanding, comes a touch like, well, a reasonable amount just under the articulate license. For I guess apples for apples. So yeah, I can more than happy to send that out. yeah, happy to take any other calls as well, of course. But you know, we're first and foremost, I'd just love to get you know, people like Troy and what have you, if they're wanting to just jump in and have a trial and build something out, we would love that as well, just to see your experience of the tool. And you know, we're always taking feedback, as I say, to shape and mold the, you know, the vision going forward.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, you know, obviously we've had a couple of people jump in a little bit later. Tamika, this was basically a new authoring tool. Well, it's actually not new. It's been around for a number of years, but it's new on my radar. It's called Chameleon Creator, Tamika. So all the details are going to be in the description of the video if you want to check that out. And we've got a few people, obviously, from the States who've joined in the conversation. So if you guys have got questions, while we've got Rhys, you know, probably going to have him for another 10 minutes. Let's ask him what questions we've got. From my perspective, it was very, very easy to build in and looks incredibly clean. It's very light. So this can be exported out in SCORM, but it's also fine to just host on a server, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah. So we've got a you know, a number of people obviously using SCORM, and that's, you know, we cater for all of those needs as well. And we haven't come across an LMS yet where we've had, you know, too many challenges to get it working. And so yeah, that's a bit of a no-brainer. And obviously we've got a number of other customers and clients who you know, want to host it outside of an LMS, so they're hosting it on, you know, a SharePoint or just a URL, because I guess what we're creating here are living, breathing websites. So you can just wrap that HTML5 file up and go that way. The other thing that you may not know about, Cath, is something we're rolling out in a couple of weeks now, which is hopefully will be exciting for the learning world. But as a hosting and analytics platform, where you will essentially, I guess the user experience will be, you create your course, you hit a big button that says push to hosting, and then that will push the course from the creator platform into the hosting platform, and then your learners will be able to log into the cloud and get all of those. We're calling our MVP, but it'll be you know, all of the hosting and reporting metrics and things that you know, typically expect of a normal LMS. But hoping to push the boat right out there and go full Google on it with analytics and to get those more intricate, you know, insights for, you know, designers like yourself, but also organizations too. So it's an exciting project. Yeah, no, it does. I think it's going to, hopefully for some people who do get frustrated in that, you know, the LMS world, it'll provide an alternative to that as well. That will be, you know, a simple way to look at it.
Fantastic. Variables. What about variables? Is there's something that you're thinking about doing? So, for example, either being able to pull a name from an LMS, or being able to ask someone what is their name, and then being able to customize feedback like "well done, Cath," or things like that. Is there anything?
Yeah, not on the platform at the moment, Cath. But it's something we're certainly looking at and looking at building out. And yeah, it's been, we've had that on our radar for a little while now, and certainly a heap of value in it as well. Are you seeing a lot of people in that space that are wanting it as well? Is that what you've found? Or?
I certainly, when I build learning experiences, try and do as much of that as possible. I feel like it creates a really personalized experience. But, you know, it's not necessary. Just wondering if there's any, has there been any thought process in that, or even, you know, we've had Troy talk about leaderboards. I like the idea of being able to kind of give people points or XP points for questions that they've got right. Or so have you thought about enhancing this with any kind of gamification functionality? I mean, look, I think the nice thing about Chameleon Creator for me is you can create really high-end looking modules. It's fairly simple, okay? It's not overly complex, but then responsive. To create something that's responsive, you can't go crazy with it. You know, I always say this when a client says, I want something on my, I want something responsive. And I'll say to them, okay, well, you can expect pretty much what you can get on the web right now. If you're wanting something crazy and interactive, they need to do that on a desktop. And you need to be using an authoring tool that's appropriate for that. So, what I think is fantastic is the aesthetics, how lightweight it is, so I do a lot of work with the disability sector. So, we've got people all over Australia. You've got crap NBN, crap internet. So it's being able to allow them for a couple of megabytes to be able to run a whole course, especially with things like Lotties and SVGs. So it's really good.
You raise a good point, Cath, about the responsiveness of it, and it is a question we get a lot of in terms of sometimes it's the layout and things, the ability to, like, yes, you can certainly customize it in terms of swapping columns and the layouts in terms of that. It's not, because it's, and I know I'm probably preaching to the converted here, but PowerPoint, for example, you can drag things around the screen and put them exactly where you want them. But what we've had to do is create this platform so that people from all ends of the spectrum, people who are amazing learning designers and people who are the other end, they can't break it in terms of the responsiveness of it. But in saying that, we are, we're looking at adding a bit more flexibility in that going forward in terms of, having placeholders, for example, and dictating how many columns you want on your screen, and then picking the the right type of or appropriate elements you put into those columns. So adding a lot more flex in that space is certainly on the horizon.
So I use the word very loosely when I say simple. It's not simple. It's incredibly complicated when you're building something that's fully responsive. When you look at all the different options of where you can place the text and where you can place assets. Remember, using iframes, you can add a lot of enhancements and things. It is great. And actually, Mudasir, who's a lovely chap, he says, appreciate the template approach here. Do I think that is very true, Mudasir, because sometimes people can absolutely, have you ever given someone a storyline course who's not as good as you in storyline? It ends up being a dog's breakfast. This is allowing you to create consistency within your business and still have it look very, there's enough flexibility with you being able to resize boxes and, change backgrounds to whatever you want. I think it's great.
Because I sometimes use that that analogy in comparison with an architect. Like, I've got a really good friend who's an architect, and he always says to me that it's a lot of the times it's more fun when you've got a few constraints, like if you've got a sloping section or a piece of land, or it's a weird shape or something like that. And I think sometimes I think about that with Chameleon. Like, there are some, like any tool, there are a couple of constraints, but what we find is it allows learning designers to get really creative as well, and think about different ways you can stretch the tool. And we're seeing some truly amazing things that we haven't planned for, where someone says, hey, we've built this in the tool, and we're like, wow, we didn't plan for that. So it's which are always really nice things to come across.
Troy just asked, will slider interactions be on the horizon?
So, sorry, Troy, can you if you're able to, can you clarify that quickly? Because is that meaning to say, asking a question and then getting the learner to, I guess, to make a decision about where they will be on that slide? Or is that how you understand it, Cath?
Yeah, so I use a lot of sliders in Adapt, for example, because instead of giving someone learning objectives, for example, I might say, how do you feel about, how's your confidence right now creating pina coladas? And people might go, yeah, not very good. And then at the end of the course, I might go, how do you feel now about creating pina coladas? You know, so, and it's just a nicer way. It's like, I call it reflective tools or reflective activities. So you might be talking about that, but he also could be using it for like a timeline. You know, you scroll. You know, we use a lot of those. So Troy said correct, or a slider interaction to reveal a pop-up. So you could use it for a timeline, for example. So
so Troy answers yes. It's actually in development as we speak. So the team are currently working on the slider right now, along with a couple of others. They're looking at, shortly we're looking at expanding and elaborating quite a lot on our multi-choice interaction as well, to expand out the options there that a designer can stretch that out. We're also looking at slider, as I say. We've got a binning interaction that we're looking at doing, where I'm preaching to the converted again for people who don't know what I'm quite meaning there. So just simply dragging things into different bins, making decisions. And of course, like everything we build in the platform, one of the big ticks we need to make is that it would be responsive and work on mobile as well, which adds some complexities from time to time, but pretty exciting.
And Sonica just said sliders can be great for steps in the process too.
Agree.
And where the variables come in is if someone did answer a question, for example, like a slider, and they got a certain thing, what I love is being able to say, so in the previous answer you said you were not confident. How do you feel now? So it kind of remembers where the learner was. But this stuff is all complicated. So, if I gave you my wish list, it'd be, this high. But
I would love to see it, Cath. I'd love to see it.
I think that, I think this is fantastic. I love it. I love what you guys are doing. And, hopefully you'll have a number of learning designers will reach out and will give it a go and see just how great the tool is. I think I'll always say, I can hear the voices already, Rhys. I can hear people going, but you can't you can't narrate the page. Right, so hang on a second. You can't put narration on the page, and you can't do this. And I'll say, where on the World Wide Web can you do that? Right. So you've got to start looking at responsive tools like Chameleon Creator, like the World Wide Web. We have created that monster, that horrific experience of reading text. If someone wants that, then use a screen reader, if accessibility is requiring it. I think that there's obviously, I'd agree. I'd love to see more multiple choice options, like a graphical multiple choice option. I love the kind of bin dragging that it's similar to what we saw in Google Garage a few years ago. So I think these kind of things are very modern and intuitive on a phone. So
because the audio one's a funny one, Cath. And sorry, I'm probably gone over my time here, but thank you so much. But the audio one's an interesting one. We've to be honest, we've pushed back on that for a while now. And
you should, because it's horrible.
But having said that, we the voices became quite loud, and demands were coming, through quite strongly. So we are rolling out audio. We rolled out our first audio. I know, but we're approaching it slightly differently. Yeah, because we feel, I feel as strongly as you do about audio, and the rest of the team do as well. But we've looked to, I guess, add some sort of option there for those who do really, really need it and really, really want it. So watch this space. Phase 1 has rolled out last week, and phase 2 is I'd say 3 to 4 weeks away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I'd like to say is I'm not a person that does a lot of summative assessments.
Agreed.
If a client comes to me and says, I'd like for you to build this monstrosity of a course and then do this huge quiz thing at the end, I'm basically likely to go somewhere else. I don't want to do that kind of thing. I want to build an experience for somebody by using formative assessments as well. So where I think, and I chatted to Devlin about this, where I think there is, and I'm sure you probably get it from clients, oh, but we want to do this big long quiz with 10 questions, and and I know it's not really made to work that way, so it's I'd say, because I like it, don't change what you're doing. Don't go to building these it creates better experiences by not creating that functionality. But I can see some people going, oh, but I need it because
it's a hard one, isn't it? Yeah, because and as you know, we obviously have quizzing available in the tool at the moment, but it's not. Yeah, it's not.
But they're independent. It's
not meaning to be a monstrosity, as you say. So it's an interesting one, and I think if we ever look at that, we'll have to stay true to our design principles as well, and ensure that we, as you say, we stay true to our ethos and how we want to do this too. But it's it sounds like you have a lot of the same conversations we have.
Honestly, and Troy just said death by quizzing.
I need to chat to you, Troy. I reckon we'd enjoy it. It'd be a good chat.
The conversation that we could have. So for me, I like the variety. I was able to play around and do enough with the screens and the layouts. Yes, there was some other little things that I thought would be a nice to have, but for the kind of work that I do, it is brilliant. And I encourage everyone to drop you a line, your detail. So Rhys's details are in the bottom of the page. It's ChameleonCreator.com.
Correct.
Go and check the website out. You can apply to do a demo directly through there, or you can contact Rhys directly. And like I said, you'll get. I'm being really transparent here. I hate a lot of that other stuff, like the narration on screen and things like that. And I say, don't change what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing.
Well, it'll be, you've met Todd, Cath, who's product owner, and that would be music to his ears as well. I'll give him a buzz after this and tell him you said that. He'll be very glad to hear you saying that.
Yeah, we've already had a chat. I think he knows how I feel with this stuff, but I think I wanted to give my perspective, and my perspective isn't the be all and end all. It's just my perspective. But for those who are looking for some of the other things, I think the way that these guys are going is a better learning experience. And just get on it, give it a try. And if you've got requests for things, if you are on board and you're wanting to give it a go and it's going great for you, I think Rhys and his team are always open to ideas, and I think we should create a little community behind it. Rhys.
We are, Cath. It's getting to that point where we want people to be talking to other chameleon creators, so to speak, and sharing what they're creating and things, because there's so much good stuff going on, and as you know, that's where people get their inspiration from as well, just to try some different ways to skin a cat, so to speak. So yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome.
The
one thing that I suggested to Todd was when I got so I signed up and did the demo.
Yep.
And it came, I think, blank. It didn't come with anything in it.
Yes.
And it would be really good to see a course that was using all the components. So for people to work out how to do things, they can then go in and they can go, oh, okay, right. So that's how I do it, and go back into their module. So I don't know if you do give a course now, but that would be my only suggestion.
We actually took that feedback on board, Cath, and we have started doing that as well. And I think probably since you signed up as well, we've created and built out our knowledge base quite extensively as well. And look, we know people pick up the tool pretty quickly because it's intuitive and all that sort of stuff, but as you say, it's sometimes nice to just have a bit of a guiding light, and a bit of direction sometimes with some of that stuff. So it was a great idea and very useful.
Good. Well, look, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Have you got a lot on this today, or?
Oh no, it's just just a typical day. I think it's but no, I was so grateful to get the invite, Cath, and thank you for your time. I think it should go back the other way twice as hard as you. Yeah, but it's been so great to talk about it and share a little bit more with you, with your audience as well.
I think that these are really important questions. I think that if I had approached you from a company, it would have been a very salesy conversation. But yes. I really would like to see learning designers have the opportunity to ask questions from different vendors, and ask hard conversations, ask hard questions as well. Why can't we have this or blah, blah, blah. So I just wanted to spruik it, because I don't think a lot of people in the States are on it yet. And I think that you'll probably be getting quite a few inquiries. So I hope so anyway, because I think it's brilliant and it's beautiful and you guys are just killing it. Troy said thank you as well. Really awesome to learn more. Thanks for answering. Just need to play more with the tool. So absolutely. I'll love you and leave you. But thank you, and tell everyone at Inspire. Tell Stu I said hello, and Todd.
I will.
Keep killing it. You guys are. I looked at the new website and the new portfolio items, and I was like, oh yeah, they're doing a lot, obviously, in Chameleon. So.
That's really kind of you. Yeah, and I'm sure they'll all say, hello back as well. But again, thank you, and thanks for giving us the opportunity to spruik it a little bit as well. We can't wait to get people from, we've got Australia, New Zealand people using the tool widely, and we're starting to get a little bit more interest from the States. So I think it's an exciting space for us to play in as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, if you've got no more questions, if you think of any, you can write them in the comments below. And Rhys, if I can't answer anything, I'll flick it over to Rhys to answer you. All these details are in the description. So I will sign off. Have a great day wherever you are in the world. And thanks for your time, Rhys. You're the best.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks all. Have a great evening. Bye. Bye.